Hi Pisces, welcome to your reading for the end of July and welcome to my channel. Pisces, thank you for being here. I want to begin by reminding you that this is an overall reading and I use the principles of the law of attraction when it comes down to you figuring out whether this is a reading for you or not. So if you feel that there is a connection here where the messages that are being provided work for you, this reading is for you. If not, and then there's always a next time. Maybe not right now, maybe next time. So keep that in mind. Also, I'm the kind of person that I feel that all of us are very powerful being, and given that we have the right information to know what to do in moments of challenges, we have what it takes to fix those challenges. In other words, I don't believe in fortune telling. What I do is read energy. I check up your energies, especially with tarot, with the oracles. I use them to let me know what's going on in the background, from an energetic perspective. So in other words, in my readings, you're going to hear me talk about the physical aspect, but also of the vibrational one, because we live in a reality that is not just physical matter, but it's also energy. So I like to incorporate both aspects so we have a better understanding of what to do if for whatever reason we need to make a change or an adjustment in our physical reality at the moment. All right, Pisces, so let's begin. So as you can see, I have in the table the cards already. I've chosen them because I do these readings in Spanish and then I do them in English. And although I'm using the same cards, sometimes there may be different information coming up according to the frequencies that are available to me. I just got an information yesterday, my meditation, that maybe it's time for me to begin a new channel where I do all in Spanish and then keep the other channel all in English. So I'm kind of trying to figure that out. But in the meantime, just know that I am a bilingual channel. And I do the best that I can, or I try to do my best to do videos in both languages. All right. So here's the thing. When you look at my spread, I want you to keep in mind this concept of movement and change. Because we live in a reality where energies are always moving. We ourselves have a habit or a tendency to perceive things that ultimately, in the way that we perceive them, we create this repetition. So we have this idea or this illusion that, things are repeating themselves time after time. So we see time linearly, but also circular. Because a lot of times we have experiences that we tend to think, oh, this happened to me before and it's happened to me again. But that's just an illusion. I want you to, keep open, be open-minded as I'm explaining this. Because it's really an illusion once you start knowing how energy works in a reality. So energy is moving in a spiral form. And I would like for you to see this reading as such. Although the cards, I'm choosing cards that are kind of fixating, or they're creating, well, it's not a movement in the energy. It's more like it's stopping time in that movement, within the movement of energies, right? The cards are basically picking up frequencies within that energy that's representing you as the collective. Keep in mind that this energy is moving. So it's kind of like that saying that whatever goes up must come down. So whatever is reversed eventually will come up because of the nature of the energy and the way that it flows naturally. So when I start talking about the meaning and the symbology and the information or the messages that the cards are giving us, remember that all of this energy is moving. Now, we, in the way we tend to see things, we think of them as static, but that's not true. All right? Okay. So when we look at the flow of energy that is available to you, the influences of energy in this particular moment, the oracles are saying that it's a time for you to believe, to succeed. So the oracle is not saying, oh, for you to pay attention to what you see so that you can believe. It's more about having faith, needing to have faith so that you can succeed. When I looked at the house or the zodiac sign that came up for you in this particular cycle, Cancer was the one that is symbolizing the nature of the work that you're doing at this moment. In other words, the area of your life that you should be focusing right now is being represented by the zodiac sign of Cancer. Normally, the house that Cancer rules is the fourth house. And the fourth house talks about your home environment. It talks about your family, your intimate environment at home. And from a vibrational perspective, it's talking about your inner world, the environment within you, your ideas, what kind of belief systems you have, how you feel about them. When we look at the symbology from the oracle perspective in tarot, 4 represents the Emperor energy, which is not just a card that talks about a person or represents a person. It's a card that talks about your initiatives, your mind, your analytical mind. So I like to use all of these different tools, and when you put them together, it's amazing the type of information that they bring. So right now, your focus, the area of your life that you should be focusing on, or maybe you're already doing that, is the house of Cancer. You may be dealing with a Cancer person or people that, have something to do with Cancer. So the oracles are saying, well, when it comes to your home environment and your world of intimacy, which begins within you, right now, there are influence of very positive energies. Something is blossoming here. And look at this card, how beautiful it is. And as you can see, we see this energy field, this fireball growing from the heart center. So it's interesting that Cancer it begins by representing your inner reality. Astrology may not see it that way, so keep that in mind. So these are just my own perspectives, because I always like to incorporate the vibrational aspect to things, because physical reality is an extension of energy. So there is a very positive influence here of heart center energy, and it's blossoming, as you could see, and it comes with the number 20. Now, we don't have an astrological house 20. We do in tarot have a major arcana, which is Judgment. Let me show you what that card looks like. The Judgment card. See that? And in this particular case, it's saying that something in the background, in the energy reality, is blossoming. Now, for you to be able to take advantage of this energy, you're going to have to relax a little bit and stop focusing so much in the negative aspect of things in your life right now. You got to stop focusing on the negative stuff, because the river of change that we are a part of and that we're constantly drawing information from tends to be slightly more positive than negative. And for us to be able to take advantage of that energy, of those vibrations, it requires us to also become slightly more positive than negative. So one of the ways that you can begin to feel more positive or more optimistic is by believing that life is not all bad, that not all the horrible things happen to you, and that no matter how much you try, you always get dumped on because things do not work out for you. You will have to start beginning to change that attitude and saying, you know what, everything is working out for me. And although things have not necessarily been at their best lately, I know that things are going to work out. So you have to make a very strong effort to have beliefs that are more inclined to be optimistic and positive than negative. So that's one of the things that the oracle is saying. And this is why Cancer is coming out, because this begins within you. So you will have to start creating certain habits where you can focus more inside yourself and be more self-aware of what it is that you're feeling and how you're feeling, so that you can start to change those feelings and begin to be more optimistic. Okay, so there is that. So keeping that in mind, now let's look at the tarot cards. And then you could see, we have 5 major arcanas out of 8 cards. And that's a lot of major arcanas. And all of them are upside down. So it means that in the way that you're looking at things right now in your life, especially when in regards to this particular situation, which you know better than I do, I'm not going to sit here trying to figure it out, what is what, so that you feel some sort of connection with my reading. No, you know exactly what's happening to you. Now, in the way that you're perceiving the situation and in the way that you're feeling about them, you're blocking your energies. And the major arcanas, which is the major force that is showing up in this particular cycle, are saying just that. And it's beginning by the Hierophant. The Hierophant is upside down. The moon crowning this reading is upside down. The sun next to the moon, and this is a very special couple here, because in astrology, the moon and the sun are the highest forces in the sky that has an effect in our reality. When we look at these forces from a physical perspective, now we're talking about our emotions versus our mind. See what I mean? Our moon represents the world inside us, and our sun represents our mind. They're upside down. And then we have the Justice card, which is kind of halfway upside down, halfway in the right direction. And of course, the Justice card is the card that says, well, put things into balance and be honest with yourself when you're doing that, when you're having that process. And eventually the balance will tell you and will show you what's working and what's not. Well, it's hard to do this, to have this level of understanding and discernment when our mind and our heart are not working as a unit because of what the Hierophant represents to us. Remember, the Hierophant represents our spirituality, represents our values. It represents many things. When we start going deep within the symbology, we start seeing that it's just more than what we're used to hearing. The Hierophant, represents the level of maturity that we're reaching within our wisdom or knowledge that we use. And then, of course, if all of this is out of harmony, the World card, which is the next major arcana upside down, is going to be upside down. But if you notice, Pisces, the numbers, the numerology, because they're also telling us something. They're telling us where you're at in this journey when it comes to this particular situation. We have 5 as the Hierophant, but the moon is 18. So in the journey of the Fool, in this particular situation, it shows that this is nothing new. That wherever we have reached, whatever point we have reached in this particular cycle, in whatever is going on here that is blocking this energy, it didn't begin yesterday. It didn't happen overnight. That this has been happening already for a while. We have the moon upside down, which when the moon is upside down, it will also represent problems, emotional problems that can lead into depression. Now, it has the sun upside down. It's also talking about the inability to see clearly because our emotions are out of control. Because we're so focused on the negative aspect of the moon that we don't get to see the light. You see, I can go on and on here and to explain why this situation is not flowing in the way that it needs to. And it has a lot to do with the people. Because remember, you're part of a current of energy that naturally flows in a spiral form, and it flows beautifully, just like the water of a river. But when we are drawing from that energy, our values and self-worth and concepts of identity and concepts of limitations tend to get in the way and limit the understanding of that energy, because all energy brings information, right? That's something that's been proven already. We live in a reality where there's all kinds of energies, and those energies represent a frequency, and frequency has information. And we are the vehicles that get to manipulate those energies. And based on how we think and how we perceive our reality to be, we manipulate that information and end up limiting that information. And that's how we get an experience. But ultimately, we start realizing that, it's just how we're learning to be more personal and individual in this particular dimension. And ultimately, we start understanding that if we allow that energy to move through us without us getting in the middle of, with our beliefs and manipulations and understanding that energy will guide us eventually in a way that we will get what we want without struggling so much to get it. But to get there, we have to then realize who we are, not just as a physical being, but also as energy. We have to be in that path of wanting to understand who we are. And I believe that as a collective right now, we're all going down that path because we're going through a major change and transformation where our collective consciousness is evolving. Now, coming back to your reading, I see here a situation where you're feeling very stuck, or you and the people involved are very stuck. 2 people here, we're talking about 2 people, have tried really hard to reach some sort of agreement, but it hasn't been possible. And the oracle or the tarot is saying, the voice of the tarot is saying that the reason why it hasn't happened is because the value or the self-worth of each person is so different, where neither person wants to commit to agreeing in something that may make both people feel comfortable enough to do it. It's kind of like my belief systems are being threatened. We are threatening each other's belief system. And that's the lack of collaboration. So basically, the reason why these 4 major arcanas here are upside down is because of the Hierophant. Because it's the lowest number. So out of all of these, the major reason why you're struggling in this particular situation has to do with the Hierophant. And the Hierophant is the card that also talks about our childhood, in the way that we acted and the type of relationship that we had on our father's side. Here's where the father figure comes in. So whatever we learned from our father gave us ideas and beliefs that as we are applying it in our lives right now, there is a conflict. Maybe for your father, it wasn't so bad, maybe whatever attitude your father had, it created a lot of challenges around your father, and with the family environment, but the father was not willing to change. And I'm just using that as an example. You know better than anybody else the type of connection and dynamic that you had with your father. And you could have had a very good role model, but still, maybe your father taught you something that now when it's time for you to apply it, it's not working. Or it could be your religious beliefs. It could be many things. But what the cards and the oracles are saying is you need to pay attention to this aspect of what the Hierophant represents, because it has to do with belief systems. It has to do with your idea of doing the right thing, or the ideas of the people here of doing the right thing. I'm using you, but remember, it may not be you. You may know this already. And you might have been kind of questioning what to do. But I feel like there is a level of stagnation here where the two people cannot get it together, and probably one is unwilling to reconsider and make the necessary changes to create some sort of shift in the energy flow, while the other person is not letting go either. The person knows that this is not bringing, some sort of, a relief between two people, but one is not willing to change and the other one is not willing to let go. And now this is what happens. All the major forces in the reading will come upside down. Is that going to remain fixed? No. Because as I said, the energy is moving in a spiral form. If you do the necessary changes for the energy to bounce out of this loop, circular loop, you have to do something about it. If not, it'll stay fixated where these cards will remain upside down. For how long? It is up to you. Up to you and the other person. Is that going to feel good? No. Is that going to change things for the better? No. Do you have the opportunity to feel better and to experience a change? Yes, because the energies here are saying that yes. Look at the energy in the background. But to be able to take advantage of this life stream of energy, you have to change. You have to change your attitude. You have to change your focus so that your vehicle shifts into another frequency and allows you to take advantage of this. And from that perspective, you're going to be able to understand a little bit better the lesson that you need to understand out of this, because the oracle is saying, the voice of the oracle is saying that this is a karmic lesson. And this lesson already has been completed. There's nothing more to do here, at least not at the moment. And not under these circumstances. You understand that, Pisces? It means that no matter how much you try to continue to make this work, it won't work. The time is done for now. And in this particular situation, the best course of action at this moment, I'm not saying permanently, but at least for now, is to leave this behind and to unite to this stream of energy in the background and feel better about yourself. Another oracle is funny because I picked from 4 different oracles. And I do that before I do the tarot cards. I do. And it's interesting how the oracles, they already have the answer before I have the cards. It's energy. So the other oracle is saying, release. Release. There is a need for releasing energy, stuck energy. Radical acceptance and surrender can help you let go. You see what I mean? Another oracle here is saying the wheel. Is funny. I created this wheel recently. I was guided to do this and to let people know that energy is moving all the time, and we need to sort of, step back from this idea of seeing things fixated, because there's a lot of signs where they're experiencing repetition. But we need to understand that the reason why we're doing that is because of the way that we're perceiving our reality to be. So we need to bring another level of awareness in which we can remind ourselves that there's no such a thing as, fixated energy or organized energy in the way that we do. There's no such a thing. So you have a wheel here that says indecisiveness, allowing your life to ramble aimlessly. And this is what is happening here. You know how much energy is being wasted here when we have this many major arcanas upside down? It's ridiculous. And then the minor ones, we have a 3 of hearts, a three of swords, which is talking about the Empress. And then we have a 9 of wands, which is talking about the Hermit, and it's upside down. So the wands are upside down, which represents the fire, our desires, communication, stagnant, and emotions, 5 of cups, stuck in the past. See what I mean? Somebody here is stuck in the past, and they're so stuck in the past that it's not allowing for a change to take place in the energy. So it could be making the other person feel so guilty that there is no redemption here. And that's one of the things that I'm picking up. It could be many different things, but definitely somebody here is so overly focused on the negative aspect of things that is not allowing for the energy to change for the better. It's not allowing room for change and feeling some sort of relief. So the oracles are saying, yeah, this is a karmic lesson and it's completed. And if we continue to hold on to this particular situation, we're going to recreate new karma that eventually needs to be addressed. But that's up to you, Pisces, if you want to recreate more karma with this person. Now, I picked from a different oracle a second round of cards. And I wanted to see if some cards are being repeated, right? And if in the way that they're repeated, now they're not upside down. And look at what came up. Look at this. So I see a couple here. King of Pentacles with a Queen of Pentacles. The Queen brings the 3 of Swords. Somebody who's very hurt, very disappointed. And this person brings the Chariot upside down. So in this particular round, we have 3 major arcanas, and out of the 3, 2 are upside down and 1 is in the right direction. Now, I believe that this Queen of Pentacles is the cause of all, the blockages here. And I'm not saying that she's the guilty one, okay? So I'm not blaming anybody here. But I believe that because of her pain and her hurt, she's the one who's definitely creating some, challenges with the energy flow here. Somebody, that who's having a really hard time because they're very hurt, very disappointed. And it's making this King of Pentacles, whoever this is, I'm not saying that it's you, okay? You accommodate the information according to your situation. And this King of Pentacles, their fire is basically stuck as well. But we see now a Six of Cups here, right? Definitely some love here. And we see on the other side of Page of Swords, the desire to communicate. And it comes with the justice halfway. Somebody here wants to make things right. Somebody's trying because somebody's realizing, or with time will realize that there's feelings here. But again, the Oracle is saying, look, we're out of opportunities here. We need to move on, because trying to come back and communicate and make things right is not going to help the situation right now. And you see, I'm saying right now. It may change later, but right now, in the way this energy is flowing, it's not. We need to first work on ourselves, in healing ourselves, taking responsibility for ourselves, and revising our values, our moral ethics. And we need to have some hope. The start here is coming so strong, saying, you know, what about faith? Some people don't know what that means. There's a lot of people that don't believe in anything and they're faithless. And it's, you know, and it's not that, no, let me correct that. Okay, let me correct that. We all have faith in something, but sometimes the things that we rely on our faith makes us feel empty. That's a better option. That's a better way of saying it. Sometimes we say, I don't believe in anything. Yeah, but you believe in money, or you believe in whatever it is that you believe in. You have beliefs. The question is whether those beliefs can sustain you in times of pain, in times of confusion. And in this particular case, when we're talking about faith, it's about hope. We gotta have some hope. Not everything can be bad. You know, sometimes I hear people, you know, complaining all the time because all they see is the negative aspect of life. Oh, the world is ending. Everybody's rotten. Things are awful. Look at all the wars. And all they're looking at is the ugliness. They have no time to pay attention to the positive things that are happening in our reality right now. And those are the people that have a really difficult time believing that we live in a reality of abundance. Those are the kind of people that fight for resources because according to them, there's not enough to go around. Because they look at all the misery that is happening around the world to excuse their belief and to believe in the way they do. And I don't have anything against those people, as long as those are the people that don't come to me and try to force me to buy into their ideas, because a lot of times those people don't feel very protected in their own environment. And those are the people that make decisions by forcing everybody else to do exactly what they want them to do. And I have an issue with that. You know, I'm the kind of person that, hey, if you want to jump in the river because that's what makes you happy, do it. But don't try to force me to do the same thing just because you think that is the right thing for you to do. See what I mean? So the more fear you have, your tendency is to control your environment and control everybody else, forcing everybody else to do what you're doing. I have a problem with that. It's like, if you want to save yourself, do it yourself, but don't force other people. And when you have energies like this, that's sometimes the effect. So somebody's trying to make a change, and the Oracle is saying, look, the most efficient way to make this change is to step back and heal yourself. Remove some of the guilt, some of the shame out of the equation. Because whatever lesson you have going on here, once you start understanding your energy and your power, there's no need for feeling ashamed, even if the choices that were made were not necessarily the best choices. Now, you need to take responsibility for your choices, even though you don't feel ashamed. So not feeling shame, it doesn't mean that you don't get to be responsible for the shit that you made, you know, the mess that you made, right? The other thing is that because we have an 8 of Wands crowning the moon, okay, it's upside down. So right now, all the energy is being directed to the past. In this particular case, it's being directed not necessarily to the star. It's being directed to the air. It's not going anywhere. So we need to make a change in focus here. And what the oracles is suggesting is to unite the principles of our reality, or the principles of nature, divine feminine with masculine. Our mind and our heart has to come together first. And although they're very different in nature, they have to reach an agreement. You have to reach an agreement within yourself where your heart and your mind collaborate in working together as a unit. So that's how you begin. You make an agreement and you follow your heart. And if your heart says, okay, and it's not making you feel separate or divided or fragmented, and then you try it. And here's where you get to explore the ideas that you start having. If your heart is closed, all of your operating systems that you know as chakra are going to be closed. And now you're in a position to protect yourself, not to receive information, Pisces. You understand that? You need to learn how to work with your operating system. It's like driving a car. And here the oracle is saying, there needs to be a connection between the mind and the heart. And there needs to be respect about how each system operates. And one is not better than the other. They need to work together. And once you learn that dynamic, and then you'll understand that when you're in a relationship, your values and your beliefs are not better than somebody else, even if that other person is doing something that we consider very wrong. It is not our luxury or our position to judge anybody. There are bigger forces behind all of those choices that will do that. And that's called karma. Now, we've gotten into a habit that we judge everybody because we think that that's the way to go. It's a poor habit that we have as humans. We don't stop to think that at some point we all have done horrible things. But we got to get to a point where we start, we got to start thinking like adults. And realizing that that type of attitude doesn't help, right? We have to begin somewhere. And the oracle is saying, well, there's a need here for collaboration between the head and the heart. And knowing what each system of operation brings. And how to know how to utilize it. And this is why we have a Page of Swords, which is kind of, a very young energy looking at this particular situation. So you might be already in that place where you're like, what? My feelings. You see, the moon is on the top. So the only card that repeated here was the moon. And now it's with the sun. Perfect couple. But they're still upside down. Now, in the way they're moving eventually in spiral, if you get out of the way, they'll move in the right direction. But you have to know how to get out of the way. So, lastly, another oracle is saying, well, you are on the road to success. There's always opportunity for better. You just have to want it. There's always opportunity for change. You just have to want it. And for that change, you don't need to depend on other people. All you need to do is depend on yourself and trust your instincts. You just have to say, enough is enough. It's time for me to gather my resources, get on my horse, and move on. Sometimes you have to do that in order to resolve an issue or a challenge. Let go of it altogether. Surrender totally to faith. And that's what I have for you, Pisces. So I wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much. Until next time.